The city was open. There was one warrior among the samurai who could have prevented that disaster. A single Orochi, locked in a prison cell for years. That imprisonment was about to come to an end.
Home. We samurai lost our true home long ago. Now, to us, that word means something different. We made a new home, but we have to fight to hold it. I wasn't going to be fighting anyone from inside a prison cell. But my friends, my Daimyo, saw an opportunity and took it. They're burning the city. We're leaving. I said we're leaving. Let's go. I can't.
This is how you ended up here in the first place.
We needed a quick way through. Fire would do it.
Hello and welcome back to Let's Play For Honor. This is episode 14? No, yeah, 14. We will be following the Emperor's Champion now for the samurai story. The Emperor's Champion is an Orochi. We've talked a bit about them before.
We don't owe these people anything.
We're here to try and fight off the great raid of the Vikings upon Koto, the Emperor's city. We're in the outskirts of it, down by the coast.
He should be defending the bridge. We were badly outnumbered. Fire would even the odds.
We're supposed to use our bow and arrow to hit any explosives and kill the Vikings around them. For some reason, I decided to just fight them like a bit of a dork. But we've talked a bit about the Orochi. The Orochi is the assassin class for the samurai. They're incredibly quick, have some of the fastest attacks in the game. They can deflect and parry blows while moving, and have counterattacks that are based on that. You won't see me do those because I'm just not a good Orochi. It's not a class I typically play. It's a very powerful one, it's just not my style. Being an assassin as well, the Orochi cannot sit and block. You have to time your blocks and your parries a bit more tightly than you do with other classes. I believe at this part I got a little bit lost. Sometimes the urban areas in this game confuse me. I just am unsure of which paths and roads to go down to end up where. Now, the Japanese longbow, if I'm remembering right, is called the Yumi. It's something that was used in the history of Japan mainly by the ruling class. For example, the samurai. They could use it from horseback or on foot, and it took a lot of training to be able to use it. It takes a lot of power, actually, to use a longbow. Despite the idea that archers are physically weaker than most warriors, they had to have some of the strongest arms and shoulders and backs. Now, there is a difference between Western and Japanese quivers. The quiver is typically on the hip in the West and in the North, whereas in Japan it was on the back. Something I've talked about before was how their armor was actually taking this into account and allowed for their hands to more easily go over their heads to pull arrows from their back. We're also here fighting alongside Ayu, our Daimyo. The Daimyo is the warlord or lord or leader of a clan in Japan. You saw a lot of them during the Sengoku period when they rose to incredible prominence. Such famous ones as Oda Nobunaga, Takeda Shingen, Usege Kenshin.
Find Okuma and Momiji.
Let's find Momiji.
Now we've been separated from Ayu. That will be important later on. For some reason, or no, Ayu's right there, isn't she? Never mind. For some reason, we're protecting mushrooms that apply poison to their weapons. We'll be setting up traps on the ground as well, as sort of area denial and for taking out the lighter enemies that are coming. This is similar to the battering ram. Not my favorite part of the game, of just sitting around waiting for people to come. The Orochi has incredibly fast light attacks that chain together really well. The overhead attack for it will always guarantee a second hit if you land the first. The Orochi's also able to attack while dodging. We're also getting to see Momiji in action as the Nobushi. The Nobushi, the hybrid class for the samurai. It's a female-only class, again, that's got some basis in history with the Onebusha. That class has very good range on their weapon. They're able to hit from very far away and get off bleeding attacks. They are very swift. They don't have the best of defenses in regards to being up close. You want to be just out of range of your opponent as the Nobushi. Boy, I have a lot of time to fill during this part. So the weapon that Kensei is wielding is the Nodachi. The Nodachi is a huge, huge curved sword that's used in Japan. It was intended as a horse-killing weapon. In general, you do not see it too often on a battlefield. There are some historical artworks of the weapon being wielded. And we have instances in history where we know it was wielded, but it again was just, it was so huge, it was massive. It wasn't as great of a thrusting weapon, but more of a huge chopping weapon. You're able to get your hands very spread apart on the long hilt of the weapon, and that gives you a great amount of leverage. Whereas here we're using more of a simpler, smaller type of katana. I'm not sure if it's an uchi-katana, a tachi. I'm not sure on the exact specific that the Orochi is using.
My grandfather used this strategy once.
We also don't end up seeing any wakizashi, which is a smaller sword, similar to a dagger that was used often for ritual suicide, or a seppuku. It of course could be used as a secondary weapon. Samurai would carry them for ritual suicide, but also for the sake of fighting when you're in an enclosed area. Katana could end up being too large and unwieldy.
It was working, but we needed to push them back.
Now we've caught up with Okuma. We're doing our best to finally repel the Vikings from Koto City. The allies are as much of a help as they are a hindrance here, since they're doing a lot of unlocked attacks that'll hit you too. For example, I almost die there to them. If the Vikings and the samurai had ever fought in history, that would be something very tricky, and it would depend on the time period. The Vikings were mostly gone by the 1100s, whereas samurai persisted into the 1600s and then even the 1800s, although they were a shell of their former selves.
All we had to do was get those gates closed.
To the palace!
What were the Blackstones doing in our city?
One of the few times we'll see horses in the game, I am controlling this. It can be a little bit hard because they're just coming so fast, and if you block too early, you'll get hit.
Knights from the Blackstone Legion. Where's Ayu? The Vikings broke into our city. They didn't know who they served.
Ah, the last few. Daimyo, your emperor is dead. Will you take his place?
Never.
Would you be emperor?
After I kill the rest of them, I'm coming to kill you.
A wolf. Leave the palace to Seijuro. The others can fight for the scraps.
Who do you think you are?
War. I am war.
So Apollyon has captured Koto from the Vikings, from the samurai, has killed the imperial family, and is now going to set the daimyo upon each other. We will see more of that in the next episode, in episode 15. See you next time.